Hello guys, welcome to this session. So in this session we are gonna see how to blink an LED using Raspberry Pi. Okay, so what is a Raspberry Pi? Raspberry Pi is a computer board in other words, it's a miniature computer board using which you can do many programs, artificial intelligence, and a lot. Okay, so I use Raspberry Pi. Actually, there is no specific reason that why we should do it. We can even do it in Arduino, but to understand how a Raspberry Pi pin configuration works and how to program something in the Raspberry Pi using the Python, we are doing this. Okay, so in this project we will be mainly focusing on blinking the LED, and for that we require just three components. One is a resistor, and the other is an LED, and the final one is the Raspberry Pi. Here we are using the Raspberry Pi model B plus. Okay, so an LED stands for light emitting diode. Okay, so it has two nodes. First is the anode and another is cathode. On positive, on contradictory, it is positive and negative. So positive, the longer part of the LED is the positive and the shorter part of the LED is the negative. Okay, as we can see in the diagram itself. Okay, so let me just use a marker for that. So we're going to take this and so this is the LED. Okay, the longer one will be the positive and the shorter one will be the negative. Okay, so this is the LED. Okay, so sorry, become LCD here. It's an LED. Okay, and this is a current limiting resistor. So the connection goes like this. The positive part will go to the one end of the resistor and the second end of the resistor will go to the 8th pin of the Raspberry Pi. So why 8th pin? Because we're gonna program it in as 8th pin. You can use any pin you like. Okay, and the second negative part will go to the ground side of the Raspberry Pi. So now we're gonna move to the programming section. Okay, now we're gonna open up the terminal in the Raspberry Pi. Okay, let me bring it to this side of the screen. Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna install the RPI GPU library. So we're gonna copy this and paste it in the terminal and hit enter. Okay, so it's gonna take some time and it will be installed. So what this library does, that it gives you the ability to control the pins of the Raspberry Pi, like setting the specific pin to high state and setting a specific pin to low state. Okay, now we're gonna create a file, new file. We'll name it as blink.py. Okay, and now we're gonna open it. I'm gonna use the default editor that is already provided in the Raspberry Pi itself. It's under the programming. It's called the Thorny Python ID. I'm gonna select that. Okay, now it's gonna take some time. Okay, let me adjust it so that it fits the screen. Okay, so now we're going to import the rpi.gpio library. So it will be import rpi.gpio as GPIO. Yeah, and after that we're going to import the sleep. So from time import sleep. Okay, so the first statement imports the RPI GPIO library in GPIO, and the second statement imports sleep from the time library. Okay, so the GPIO library is used to import the ability to additional control all the pins, and let me just write it down as comments. And the time library is used to create delay. So what is a delay? So in general states, when a LED blinks, from changing from state from high state to low state, you won't be able to see it. So in that case, we are using a delay or the sleep to slow down the process or to stop the process for a certain amount of time so that you can see the effect. Now we're going to set the warnings. Since we're going to write a simplistic program, there will be many warnings. So we're going to set the warnings which does not affect the program or the board as false. For that, gpio.set warnings, inside it we will give as false. No, it's capital F, I guess. Yeah, capital F. So F. And then we're gonna give GPIO dot set mode. Okay. So what this command does is that there are two ways we can access the pin. One is the board pins, and other is the name of the pin. So we are using the board pins, that is the count of the pin goes as per the designation of pin. Like for the first pin, it is considered as pin 1, that is pin 1, and the 8th pin will consider it as 8th pin. Okay. And now we're going to set up the pin mode, whether it is input or output. So when it is an input, it takes in the logic function, when it takes when you set it high, it becomes 1, and when it is output, it will give out the voltage. Okay. So the function is gpio.setup 8, gpio.initial. Spelling is wrong. Yeah, initial. INITIAL. Yeah. Is equals to. So what this command does, that by default it will keep some state like low in this sense it is off. Okay. Now we'll go into so now we're going to type in. So since since it has to be continuously on and it should not execute in a single step, we're going to keep the entire in a while loop. So while true, no, not enter. So we're going to set it up as on. So for that, gpio dot output, open braces, close braces, 8, gpio dot high. So what this command does, it's pretty straightforward. It's gonna switch on the LED. Now sleep, we'll just give 1, which is 1000 milliseconds, that is equivalent to 1 second. Now we're gonna do the same, but instead of high, we're just gonna give it as low. Okay. So now what is going to happen? First, the LED will blink for 1 second. We'll go to the high state, wait for 1 second, then it will go to the low state and wait for 1 second. Since it is in a while loop, this process will be repeated until we stop the program. So I'm giving out the comments so that you people will understand. Next. So on the left side, you guys can see that I have set up a live streaming of my setup, and this will show us this effect. Okay. Now we're gonna just run the program. Yeah, as you can see, the LEDs blink for a second. So as it is 1 second, it's pretty fast. So this marks the end of the project. So what we have done till now is clearly described in my Medium blog. You guys can just check that out. The link is in the description. So that marks the end of this session. So hope you guys enjoyed it and learned something from it. So let's meet once again with a new project. Thank you.